Today is Friday of the 12th week in Ordinary Time. Did you see the full moon appear in the eastern sky on Wednesday night? The sun was setting, and the wispy clouds served as a scrim, reflecting the sunlight and obscuring what was behind it. Bit by bit, as the sun set, the fullness of the moon became visible, at first so vaguely that I couldn't be sure. Yet, moment by moment, it appeared yet more clearly and more beautifully. It was like a gift of God, from God to me, as I sat here on the patio of the Jesuit residence overlooking the river. It appeared above the Kennedy Center roof, just behind me, and framed by tree branches to the right and to the left of the patio. The gift drew special meaning from context. I was thinking about the readings, about this reflection, and about our troubled world. Conservative U.S. bishops attacking the president with politics disguised as theology. Republican governors and legislatures imposing undue restrictions on citizens' ability to vote. Senate Republicans for voting down a voting protection bill and refusing to investigate January 6th. Democratic foolishness, though foolhardy, pales by comparison. What are we to make of all of this? In the first reading, Abram becomes Abraham, Sarai becomes Sarah, and God foretells the birth of Isaac. They had traveled at God's command 1,000 miles from Ur of the Chaldees in present-day Iraq, to Paran in present-day Turkey, to Canaan in Palestine, and then on to Egypt for a time, and finally returning to Canaan. Now, after all that, because they had been faithful, God promised them a son. In mid-blessing, the text says, Abraham prostrated himself and laughed as he said to himself, "Can a child be born to a man who is 100 years old?" He might have added, "A child, when I'm so old and so worn out from all this travel?" He prostrated himself and laughed. He prostrated himself in awe and obedience to God. But he must have thought, how preposterous of God. And yet God fulfilled that promise, preposterous as it may have been, as it may have sounded. The leper in today's gospel did Jesus homage and asked for healing, though without laughing, though he might as well have done so. Jesus, a human being, healing? Now, preposterous. And yet, Jesus fulfilled his promise. Is it preposterous to think that God will renew his covenant with the world, given all of our dysfunctions? But God does that every day. Is it preposterous to think that Jesus will heal our fear and our anxiety, not to mention our anger, at the appalling things that happen around us? It may seem preposterous, and then I find myself in the cool of the evening, sitting on the patio watching the moon shimmer into shape in the reflection of the setting sun. Then I too feel some peacefulness. Preposterous? Not in the odd way that God engages with the world. Find God's peace today, shimmering out at you from somewhere in your corner of creation. A flower, a child, a landscape, a happy memory. See how the Lord blesses those who honor him, today's psalm says. And so God does for you and for me every day.